humans can do a lot of things, but you've got to leave the cave and you've got to stick with it. You mustn't turn back. If you've got a goal, have a clear vision, being persistent, being determined, being dogged are better traits than being smart and clever.
Welcome back to another installment of the Next Gen AI Case Study Series. In this series today, on this episode, we have Harry Croydon, who is the co-founder and president of MIC Global. Welcome to the show, Harry.
That's good to meet you too.
So I'd love to start with a little bit of a Coles Notes version of who you are, where you came from, and how you came to be the COO of MIC Global.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's a long story. I'm pretty old, so there's lots of stories, I guess. But sort of long story short, I was in technology, working for big companies like Microsoft and that back in the 1990s. Just as the internet was being kind of born and rolled out, Amazon was coming along, and I had a computer at home. Nobody else did, if you like. I had a mobile phone. Few people had one of those as well. So it's in that sort of period of the big transition that we've seen over the last few years. But kind of I was there doing that, and sort of came to this idea through meeting what became a friend of mine about insuring the internet. This idea of insuring the internet, and we started a company in Lloyd's of London and called Safe and Lion in 1999 to do just that, kind of insure the internet, and that's become a thing called cyber insurance, which lots of people know about now. It's a big thing, but we're at the kind of birth of that. So that's why I kind of transitioned from technology into insurance in that time. And since then, I've been working in insurance and insurance technology, doing various things. Working for big companies. I sold Safe and Lion, and then moved into really a tech company, building tech tools for insurance companies. And I been doing that. And then with kind of moving fast on through the decades, the kind of AI came about a little bit, certainly machine learning, the growth of the platforms, people like Uber, Airbnb, and those sorts of companies, that type of platform selling came about. And I sort of started to think about getting back into being an insurer again, and developing kind of, small product for the sort of gig worker, type generation that's there. So I tried to get it started in a company I was working for that we didn't really get on well with doing that. So I came over to see a friend of mine, a guy called Jamie Crystal, and we had met back in 1999. He's a kind of a insurance guy. He had a big agency in New York at the time, and sort of mentioned this to him and talked about it, and he really liked the idea. And lo and behold, he had actually just acquired microinsurance.com literally at that time. So it was like there was I thinking about doing micro insurance, and he had bought microinsurance.com. So bang, we formed the company basically. And that's kind of where I got into. That's kind of how we got into microinsurance and started setting it up.
So in terms of the role that it plays in technology, what sorts of things would you insure on the Internet of Things?
So we insure. I mean, we have actually insured like sensors for flooding and things like that. The water, water sensors and those sort of things. But if there's kind of something measuring something, then we can kind of insure it, right? So we do. We've got a program just launching in India, for example, which with merchants, with their merchant cart, the merchants in their little stalls and along the streets in India. If a flood comes and their earnings drops down, then we make them a small payment because their earnings have dropped down. So this is like a merchant platform. So we can insure the merchants on merchant platforms, for income protection, for example. And we sort of model that whole thing out, and then come up with a premium and a benefit, and put those things together. Other platform companies, there's many, like neobanks, these banks who are, providing services, banking services to people, like loans or, support and help and things. So we can build products for those people, and sell them through like a subscription service, a subscription going into those companies. Again, that's from income protection as well. So there you are, you're working, you've got your first bank account, you're with one of these neobanks, and as part of a subscription that you might pay for the app and the services, embedded in there will be an income protection product, in case you lose your job or something.
Okay, so your primary audience, or the group of people that you're serving, is kind of small business owners and the like?
Yeah, it's small business owners, individuals, but it typically, everybody really sure wealthy people or big companies and media companies, everybody can get that. Everybody does that. That's easy to do, and that's what the vast bulk of insurances today is all aimed at sort of medium businesses or the lower middle class, if you want to call it something, upwards sort of thing. But the bit downwards, the small and micro businesses, it's a lot harder for them to find insurance. It's a lot harder for you to get insurance if you're a low wage earner, or you're a gig worker, somebody who's kind of a contractor. All these sorts of people, very hard to find insurance. So our audience is that sort of kind of underserved level of people and businesses. That's really the target audience for us, and those people typically are accessible through these sort of platforms, be it a telco, a bank, or a platform like that. So that's kind of what we do. That's how we get to our partners, our customers, through partners.
Okay, I see. So, because that was something that was kind of part of my next question was, I've had the privilege of serving a very similar audience early in my career, doing marketing and stuff like that. And
yeah,
there's a delicate balance between finding customers that are running businesses that are profitable enough that they're in a position to be able to invest in either growth, or in your situation, maybe protection or security, versus the group of people who are just on the come up still and are very challenged resource in their resources. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So how do you go about finding and communicating with that group of people that can actually make a decision on your product?
So we we work B2B, so business to business, to the consumer, to the customer. So we work with the business, the platform company, to find a relevant product that their customers want, that enhances something that the business is doing, or give protection to that to those customers. And the key thing is it needs to be relevant, affordable, and kind of flexible, if you like. It's no point offering somebody annual policies if they can't afford anything more than a month's policy. It's got to be. It's no point saying, well, we give you $1 million worth of cover when all they want is $10,000 worth of cover because they can't afford it, sort of thing. So we kind of build things that are relevant to them. So our income protection product, for example, in the US, it doesn't cover $7,000 or $8,000 a month, which somebody might be earning, but it covers $1,000, $2,000 or $3,000 a month for a limited time, so that if they lose their job, they can pay their rent, they can transition more easily into the next job, rather than kind of hitting this spiral of downwards sort of thing, and losing your home, or missing a couple of car rental car payments, or missing a couple of credit card payments and getting fined and more money. We cover those, a small amount of that thing, not to support them fully, if you like, and because that is too expensive, they can't afford that. But it helps them. They want to work. They're keen to work. Everybody wants to stay in their home, and it allows them just to transition. If they lose their job, to transition from job A to job B with a little bit of a bridge in between, or a stepping stone of some money to pay the rent, put food on the table, to pay the car bills, that sort of thing.
Okay, and then so it sounds to me like this is you have some strategic partnerships with businesses that serve your audience, and then you kind of I guess for lack of better terms here, just play in a sandbox with them to find products and solutions that they can kind of pitch back to their client base.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and we've got sort of three sort of areas, I guess. The core area we have is like income protection. If and what we've come about with that is that if you go and ask somebody, would you like to buy income, accidental death and dismemberment sort of thing, people go, nope, I don't want that. But you don't even know what it is. They never thought of even owning that. But if you say, would you like your income protected? They go, yeah. And then we have triggers, like if you go into a hospital, or if you have an accident, or if you lose your job, these sort of triggers that we can monitor and manage, so that then we can frame up the product and give it to the people at a really good price, around what they want, sort of thing. But it's all around so we've got income protection, and then we have like incidents that affect people's lives, and this is like my identity. We have a product around identity theft. So people are, moving, and not just in America, but this is like, in places like India or Asia. A few years ago, they didn't have credit cards at that time. So people grew up with, it's a cash society. Mm-hmm. But in the last 10 or 15 years, it's moved dramatically into credit cards and banking. So the education and the people, they don't realize that they've now given their identity out there, sort of thing, and it's got new threats, different threats from having a part of money under the mattress or something, right. But it's different threats. And so we're building an identity theft product for those people as well, so that if their identity crops up on the dark web, we can tell them about it, which means that we can warn them to take care. And if somebody starts taking a loan out, through the banks, then we've got a kind of a bureau tracking system that monitors the loans and things. So if somebody takes it out in your name because they're stolen your identity, we get to hear about that, and we send you a notice that this loan has been taken out using your credentials, if you like, and then we can stop it being taken out.
Okay, so there's a really powerful and necessary suite of tools and products and services you guys are presenting, but it seems like this isn't just a North American thing. You guys are all over the place. I imagine in some of these I guess less advanced places, the technology there's like a lag time for the type of technology that we're experiencing right now and what's going over there.
I actually find that hilarious in some ways because of America. Like, you have these things called checks still, and the bank accounts you have are quite archaic, really, compared to bank accounts in Asia, where you use QR codes. You can bump on phones. You can transfer money. It takes seconds to make payments individually. They do all that. They've been doing that for a long time. It's only really just coming to America, but it's really the sophistication that America has in financial services that is really going over there, if you like, and getting that's the thing that they're not so kind of sophisticated at is having loans or credit cards and that type of thing. So that part is being built up, and that's the risks that people don't have a credit score because they don't have credit. They don't need it, sort of thing. Where now these sorts of things are coming about, and that's where my identity and that sort of product helps them sort of fit into the new model, if you like.
So in terms of your customer acquisition process, specifically in some of these newer areas, what are some of the creative approaches that you guys are taking to kind of get this message out there? Because I can't imagine that's a very easy feat to overcome.
Definitely not easy. So we do try and identify partners, strategic sort of partners we will work with. We do currently sell work with, and majority of the time through through the large, through brokers, through insurance brokers, because insurance brokers have the banks as customers or have the Ubers of this world of customers. They're the ones who've got those, they sell those companies, the platform companies, insurance and services. So we work with the brokers to kind of get into these platform companies. That's how we work. So we're kind of a one-to-many kind of a sales approach. But it is, so it is. We develop tools for the brokers, to understand our products and how they fit into their customers, which are, the platform companies. And then we have joint meetings and things with the platform companies to get into the platform companies' product, and customers. So, we don't. Occasionally, we work direct with these partners, but mostly it's working through brokers and agents to get into their sorts of places.
So this makes it much more important to kind of keep your community in check, like staying connected to all of the important players, all the people that you're building these strategic partnerships with.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So that is, it becomes a, traveling B2B, sort of face-to-face meetings are important. You can't do everything over Zoom.
Right.
You have to go and meet them. So there's, regular trips and regular people we go and see and lots and lots of, Zoom type meetings, moving things along, and that, yeah.
How do you find the industry taking to the idea of, because what you just mentioned was like there's like a lot of human elements, but there's a lot of new advancements in the way of like AI and texting and emailing and now the voice chat and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you see room for these things in the insurance industry, or is this something that's like probably not a good fit?
No, it is a good fit in for various things. I mean, we've been using AI tools in our little company for a number of years in developing them, more like machine learning tools, if you like, than like, the AIs we coming to know it with, ChatGPT and things. But I mean, today I use ChatGPT and the like every day, in investigations, finding stuff out, trying out new ideas, building policies and wordings, building frameworks. It's certainly very, productivity is a really big part of where it works for us. And then we also use it in looking at how claims or customer service can be generated, and we can teach the chatbot a lot, all about the policy and all about our customers, and let our customers talk to them in a way that they want to do it. So you're not now working. So it's not, and the answers that they give are more consistent than humans give as well. So it does get things wrong, but the consistency and the scaling of that is much bigger. If you put 1,000 humans and train them for a couple of weeks on how to respond to a claim, they get loads of stuff wrong. But if you do that with a chatbot thing, it gets most of it right, and most of it works. So I think in the future, certainly that customer service, claims processing, onboarding, policies, onboarding customers into the policy management system, making sure that the policy is right for you, rather than just you buying it and hoping for the best. You better ask it, hey, does this work in these situations? The policy, the chatbot, we go, we tell you, yes, it works. Here's how it works for you. So there's lots of things it can do in the future, and get hopefully insurance out there to more people.
And are you guys developing that as like an internal thing? I guess you've had it for a long time, or is this like a third party thing that you're working with?
Well, obviously, we use ChatGPT, which is a massive third party thing that a lot of people call their AI is really just a front on that sort of thing, I think. So yeah, we are developing it internally, because of insurance is quite nuanced in a way, and the big thing we found is if you implement it, you can implement it quickly, but it becomes very expensive to do that. Whereas, because of the running costs are quite high. Whereas if you train it, if you really dig into it, you can and understand how it works, then the cost of running it can come way down. And so we've gone from, I can't quite remember the numbers, but it's like 10 cents or 20 cents a question down to fractions of that. Because we've looked at how it answers it, we've understood it. Understood that sort of process. So we think you have to do a lot. You have to understand it internally. You can't just go and get a third party to do it for you and then hope it works. I think that that doesn't really do it for you, sort of thing. But that's a bit like outsourcing anything. You got to put the work in. You can't just hope for the best that person's going to take all those problems off your hand. I'm hoping that with AI and machine learning, that the insurance industry will bring things more in house. Really, that it should do. It should outsource all these things. It should bring them in house, and then the customers at the end should get better service for that, and make it more relevant to them.
Yeah, I've heard stories of a chatbot on a dealership website making a deal that it couldn't make, and then that customer taking the dealership to court and winning and getting the vehicle because the onus was put back on the dealership because they implemented the technology too quickly and it wasn't functioning the way that they had expected. Whereas on the complete opposite, I've heard of some studies where they were working with diagnosticians in medicine and the chatbot beating the senior medical practitioners in diagnosing diseases in people based on specific information by a significant amount. So there's this give and take. Some of it's really amazing and mind blowing. On the other side of it, it's like there's a cautionary tale. People have to be scared of this or be warned at least or be cautious when approaching it. What would your advice be?
People should be conscious about what they're doing. The human part should be conscious of what they're doing and realize that things will make mistakes, and you've got to train it on data and realize that whatever you put in comes out, rubbish in, rubbish out, right? So if you've got good data, lots of data with lots of, clinical, if you like, lots of test cases around it, it's going to make good decisions, right? Because it can go through that data much quicker than you can. It can scan your, whatever it is, scan your face, scan your blood, do whatever it needs to do in milliseconds, scan a billion points of data and go, that's that. Whereas a human's got no chance, doing, no chance. So that's great. And that's it. If you've got poor data in, with just unbacked up opinions, which, if you be honest, insurance data isn't that good, really, when you actually come down to it. Like, it's not that great. A lot of it is averages. A lot of it is, data. They put data, mix data up, mix outcomes up. The policies are mixed up to start with. You've got medical with lost back. Just travel insurance. You've got medical parts, lost things, late flights, cancellation, all in one policy. And if you haven't got the actual real data that goes down, how's it meant to make good decisions? It can't. So put rubbish in, rubbish out. But that's the bit I think the insurance industry really needs to get hold of, is that, by doing some good learning and putting data in a lot, it will make better and better decisions. We developed a tool that it can take, like, say, 5 or 10 pictures of the car and tell you how damaged it is and where the scratches are. So, we thought this was really great, and we spent a lot of time developing this tool. But really, you can't put that into the real world because of it only can do this like 95% of the time. So what it's really good at is helping humans, right? Because it can do it 95% of the time really quickly, and then a human is only looking at the last little bit.
Right.
So that's helping, but it won't go into so that is helping humans. So there's loads of those things that it will do, versus making actual decisions kind of without the human, if you like, sort of, like so helping people do things is more, I think, where the industry will get going. So productivity will increase, and costs, should come down because of that productivity gain. But productivity gains, as you know, are very, very hard to push through, sort of thing. But that's where it will come about, I think.
Well, and to your point, this is just the beginning, and this is the worst this technology is ever going to be. It can only get better from here. I mean, for the most part, it can only get better from here.
Yeah.
And I guess on that note, what are some of the things that MIC is looking forward to? What kind of goals and things are on the horizon for you and your team?
Well, we are implementing, a lot of things around data. So we've got a couple of partners who have, really big data set. So we want to use that data and the ongoing data to improve pricing and incentivize the customers, the end users of that insurance, to do things in a better way or take risks better or to do that. So that's kind of one of the things that we really want to get into, is lots of data, improve the underwriting, pass the benefits onto the customers. So that's a big piece of work that we're sort of looking into at the moment and moving that forward. We are slowly rolling out our kind of income protection program and identity theft program. We're moving on from India, to other parts of the world. So, that's rolling that out, getting the message across, and hopefully getting more of this kind of embedded insurance and partners that can benefit from that.
What are some of the challenges you see in rolling that out?
Well, it takes like I said, nobody wakes up in the morning and wants insurance at all. It seems to be, some day. And the insurance industry isn't great at promoting itself. Like I often joke that if the insurance industry was in charge of selling mobile phones, there were sold about 10 of them by now or something, and thought it was a great job.
Yeah.
And it's when you look at the income protection gap, the thing that people call the income protection gap, it's the insurance industry could double its size. The gap is that huge between what a lot of people have insurance and what lots of people do have, sort of thing. And there's a huge gap of insurance that should be in place. And so the insurance industry can double in size without building new products almost. It can just, but it needs to get into that area and build products that are relevant, easy to buy, easy to service, give brilliant service that customers actually want. And that will help them buy that. Otherwise, lots of people would just take the risk, themselves, and just carry on. And, this kind of unfulfilled thing will hang around a long time. But we've got to do a better job in kind of showing people, demonstrating to people that their lives are better if they buy a small insurance product that gets rid of some stress in their life in kind of thinking about it. And then when the time comes, if it comes, then, that we pay it quickly to people. And then, so that sort of community of people can all feel better, that they feel better because they've got the insurance, and then the ones that make a claim feel better because they haven't crashed down the snakes and ladder board to the bottom again, sort of thing. They've carried on the game.
I think it's the general consensus of the population, and I don't know, maybe I'm just speaking out of turn here, but that it's the insurance's job to make sure that they never pay you. And so there's this connotation that, what's the point? I'm not going to get the money anyway, so why give them my money if I'm not going to get anything in the end when I'm really facing that emergency? And so it's relieving to hear that that's something that's being worked on.
But this is exactly why we want to make it easily, like triggers that are easily understood by the customer. If you lose your job because of this, then we pay you. So if this happens, you get that. Very simple, like a little trigger. Yeah. If the water reaches this deep, then we pay you. If a hurricane comes in at this strength, we pay you, and we just do that. And it's not this great big complicated thing that it's just, if this happens, then you get that, and try and make that work. And the way we do that is by making the product simpler And simple things are really difficult to do, as you might understand, right? It's very difficult to build simple things. So you build a simple thing, a product, and then the customer can think, aha, that is for me. I want to buy it. And you have a multitude of simple products that people sort of buy, rather than these great big complicated policies that, you don't know how to claim, sort of thing. And then you feel like you've been, cheated in some way. And that's the general sort of view of the industry, which we want to get rid of that view, because it's important that people are covered, because if stuff happens, it can make your life very miserable and put you back. Something happened, it puts you back, and you kind of wish you had the insurance, and whereas we want people to want the insurance and feel good about having the insurance, and when the claim comes, if it comes, then feeling even better because of the claim was paid, just like that, and they got the money and they can sort of like get on their way, and they're not really inconvenienced by the good old insurance industry having a fight with them and trying to get what is properly due to them anyway, sort of thing.
Simplicity and clarity is so important. Harry, I think you should talk to your marketing department about maybe becoming the advocate for the business, because you've re-inspired some confidence in the insurance industry and myself in this conversation. So for that, kudos. We're kind of reaching the end of things here, and I always like to kind of leave on a high note. Harry, if there was some piece of advice that you could offer other people in a similar position to you when it comes to technology, innovating and overcoming some of these challenges, what would that piece of advice be?
Well, let's stick with overcoming challenges. I think, humans can do a lot of things, but you've got to leave the cave and you've got to stick with it. You mustn't turn back, sort of thing. So, if you've got a goal, have a clear vision, being persistent, being determined, being dogged are better traits than being smart and clever, and thinking that these things are, outside my reach because of I haven't got a PhD in this, or I haven't got whatever in this. Being determined, dogged, and vision, kind of sticking to the vision, if you like, where you want to get to. These are things that I think, they certainly helped me, being, driven through all that. It doesn't, that's what keeps me going. And that's what people that are sort of curious, want to get on, being dogged. These are the strengths that you should kind of bring into everyday life, and know that you don't need a PhD or something other. That that's one way of doing it, but not for all of us, as it were.
Sound advice. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, Harry, to pick your brain further or to work with you, how would one do that?
Oh, we're just on email's easy. So it's harry.croydon@micglobal.com.
Beautiful. We'll make sure to link to that in the show notes. You've been very generous with your time, Harry, and your wisdom, and we all appreciate that. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.